societal trust, and it was summed up. We all hear a term that's being used a lot. There is an app for that. If you want someone to walk your dog, there is an app for that. You want someone to deliver pizza, there is an app for that. You want to share a ride, there is an app for that. So I want to tell you a little story about how the idea of Wraqi came up. I think it's first very important to ask a question. How many of you dealt with someone called Al-Muqaddam? All of you. Or you went to an office called Al-Muqata'a? All of you. Good, good. Because sometimes you talk to people who never set foot in Muqata'a and they never understand what you're trying to do. Especially when you try to raise funds for your app and you talk to people who were born abroad, who grew up abroad, or you try to pitch in an international competition and you tell a jury of 5 Americans, we have someone called Muqaddam, and they just look at you, what do you mean? Someone just sits there in the neighborhood and keeps an eye on everyone? What do you mean every time you need to sign a document, you need to show up in front of someone? What do you mean? Yeah, we actually stand in the line and bring our document and give our ID to someone, and they could just watch us sign. It takes us 2 hours, 3 hours, and, it's crowded, there's corruption, and there is a lot of social problems that causes. Did you know that in Morocco we invented time travel machine? There are people that can go back to 1994 and notarize the documents and come back. We also have miracles. We also have dead people that come from the grave and they go all the way to Muqata'a. They don't even stop by their family to say hi. They just go to Muqata'a and they notarize the document and then they go back to the grave. But there are atrocities in a city called Qalat Saragna because of this procedure that we call public notary, légalisation de signature, ou de copie conforme. We had atrocities. We almost legalized pedophilia. Some people come and marry young girls with Fatiha and then they go to Muqata'a and they write an engagement to the parent that if they divorce them, they will pay. That's, for me, that was the red line. And there are other atrocities like corruption. For instance, I'll give you an example. The CEO or general manager of La DGI, taxes, told me once that 62% of people in Casablanca don't pay tax on rentals. Why? Because they commit fraud. They escape that. When you bring your contract to Muqata'a, you need to bring 3 contracts. One for you, one for the person you're renting from, and one needs to stay in Muqata'a so that you pay 2 months of taxes to the city. Now, because someone accepts a bribe of 50 dirhams or 100 dirhams, they look the other way and they don't keep the 3rd contract. That means 62% of Casablanca rentals, that's a lot. That's new schools, new hospitals. That's a lot of money that's going away. And what's crazy is that the same person that accepts that corruption would go and sit in a cafe and say, schools are not really good, hospitals and all that. So the idea came like any of you, all of us Moroccans, when we walk into Muqata'a, we all have stories, right? How many of you have stories in Muqata'a? And I'm going to say them in Arabic. سير ترجع ما كاينش حتى العشية ورا الصلاة مشيت غدا ها هو عير هنا تسناه شي شوية خصك تعاود الورقة. So we all live those. It's crazy. So as they say, you can only really blink the dots looking backwards. The first time I noticed what the issue is when you land in Casablanca airport or any Moroccan airport, when the policeman stamps your passport, what happens 3 meters later? Another policeman verifies if that first policeman stamped your passport. That is the first sign that we have an issue. I actually never knew, but I noticed, why does a policeman verify that his colleague did the work 3 meters later? That's huge. That's That's societal trust. The problem is we don't trust each other. And that is huge. I'm going to give you two numbers that are going to shock you. Out of 100 Moroccans, you can only trust how many? 12.3%. That is absurd. It is you, young people. That's why I come here to talk to young people. It's your generation that's going to solve this. It needs education. It needs a lot of things. But while we're waiting for generational change, we need to solve the problem, and we need to solve it quickly. The reason we have 2,400 offices and 176 consulates that watch Moroccans sign a document is that we don't trust each other. A lot of people sign a contract and then they go to court and tell the judge, Wallahi ma snit had al-contract. That is reality. That is the sad reality. We are ranked number 4 worldwide. Okay, the only countries that beat us in low societal trust are Zimbabwe. They're number 1. Okay, Zimbabwe, it's something like you can trust 3% of the population. Okay, the second country is Sri Lanka. The third country is Egypt, and the fourth country is Morocco. I hate this statistic. We all have to work to solve it. So the idea of Wraqi actually came to tackle this issue, because in digitizing administrations, what our government entities tend to do is they bring in what we call the big 5, EY, McKinsey, all these huge structures. We pay them a lot of money, and they sell us nice PowerPoints, and they tell us, oh, look at what Singapore did. Look at what Korea did. Look at what Dubai did. Look at what Saudi Arabia did. That's great. It's nice to study these examples, learn from them, get inspired. But the problem is that Morocco is a country of centuries of history. You cannot get rid of muqaddam and muqata. What you have to do is digitize these people, give them digital tools so we don't have to look for them anymore. So the idea of Wraqi came about, like I said, an app for that. So why not give all Moroccans an app that can use technology to witness that they signed a paper, unlock it with mechanisms that are better than humans. For instance, a mechanism with facial recognition that can distinguish between two twins. Eradicate fraud, l'usurpation d'identité, identity theft. That's going to be impossible. Make sure that documents are validated through AI. Make sure that the right person signs legal content. Now, a lot of people say, la légalisation de signature n'existe qu'au Maroc. That's false. Signature notary exists all over the world. The only difference is that developed countries that rank high, let's take, for instance, Norway. Norway, you can trust over 75% of the population. Okay? And just for your information, how do they do these tests? Is they do like social experiences, like they would drop a wallet with some cash and then hide and keep an eye on how many people actually will grab the wallet and take it to the police, how many people will grab the wallet, take the cash, put it in pocket, put it back, and things like that. So that's how they come with these statistics. So how are we planning on solving that? Well, like I said, we realized that nobody was paying attention to Muqaddam al-Muqata. All ministries were doing these great, huge projects, digitizing administration, but nobody is paying attention. So the approaches that our government was paying for, they're called top-down approaches. So what we did is not just innovated with technology, we innovated in the process as well. So we built this app that's now integrated with the police system, هوية رقمية, MOE ID. So if you have your national ID, you can activate your account in Wraqi using your facial recognition. So nobody can steal your identity. And then every time you sign a document, you just take a picture of it and you sign it electronically, and it's instantaneous. Now, we're not just solving signature notary. What we're doing is we're solving other issues. So the ambition of Wraqi is to become one app where you have الأوراق, a Moroccan way. Okay, we all suffered to have الأوراق, right? في مشيتي تنصيب وراقي. شنو جديت نستنى Wraqi. So the idea now, after 10 years of work, this project is actually a 10-year endeavor, over 20 million dirhams of investment. Finally, 3 weeks ago during GITEX, we signed with the government, with the Ministry of Digital Transition, so they can take the projects and deploy it as a government-owned project. So what did we do? So, thank you. Thank you. So the idea was, okay, we are a private company. Nobody's doing this. Nobody believes in this. So let's do it. So we started in 2015. We built a team. Among the team is my wife here, Fatima. She's the project manager. We call that employee retention strategy. Mary, don't let them go. So we started building the app. Before the app, we built like a machine that we wanted to put at the parking lot of supermarkets and let it do that. And then the ministries worked with us, Ministry of Interior, Digital Transition, Justice, Customs, Post Office, the police, La DD. Everybody really welcomed us and worked with us on the subject. It's a very touchy subject because we're talking about 2,400 offices. A lot of people are not going to do this job anymore. We had to wait for the laws to progress. We also had to wait for this population. 75% of them are going to retirement, so they're not going to be replaced. Even young people now that work in Muqata'a, nobody wants to watch someone sign and write it in a book. It's ridiculous, okay? And Morocco now has nice rendezvous with the world, with this sports events that are coming. So the idea is, right now, you're gonna have two websites. One is called Idarati. It has all the procedures written, and one is called Wraqi, where every legal document that you own or a government own is going to be instantly available on the app. Whether it's carte grise, certificat de propriété, PV, convocation, jugement, any document that has your ID is going to be available, and you don't need to go anywhere to get it. So are we selling the app? No. This is part of our innovation. We're not selling the app. We're giving it for free because we don't want the government, well, it took 10 years, so we kind of failed on that aspect. We didn't want the administration to launch RFPs, and it's complicated because the laws, actually, this Wraqi was a human experience and a learning experience. Thanks to Wraqi, our administration had a model that now we have laws. For instance, if you're a startup and you have a solution, you can't sell it to the government. They have to launch an appel d'offres. You can't just say, hey, I have an idea, buy it from me. That law didn't exist. Now there is a law where an administration can do it. It's called l'achat innovant. So if you're a Moroccan startup, now you can approach an administration and just tell them, hey, I have this app that can be useful to you, and sell it to them. Before, we had to do RFPs. So imagine you and your team, you work day and night, you invent something, you write code for it, it's working, and then they tell you, give us your specifications document, and we will publish it publicly as an RFP, request for proposal, or appel d'offres. And then you look at your work, and now anybody can come and do it for a cheaper price. So these are part of the problem. So we all strive as entrepreneurs. What we do is find problems, find an elegant solution to them. And when I say elegant, it needs to be fit. It needs to be, in French, endogène. Okay? We are not to imitate other countries. We have to build solutions that work for us, the Moroccan sauce, the Moroccan way. So how are we making money? Well, simply getting the citizen to pay, because people now pay. People pay when they lose time. They pay for travel, okay? They pay for errors. So sometimes they're forced to pay for corruption. So what we're doing is that we're operating the app using what we call PPP, public-private partnership. And again, as entrepreneurs, you always look also for a $1 million idea or a $1 million dirham idea, depending on how we see it. So when we thought of this, when we started working on it, we really were not looking for money. We were not looking to gain something. We were looking to solve a problem for Moroccans, because we all suffer from it, okay? In doing business, we suffer from it. Can you imagine our government 5-6 years ago was trying to launch a platform. And I saw upstairs there was a room called Mulahfid Alami, and that's one of the people that helped me a lot with this app. And back then he was behind, when he was a minister, launching a website to start a company online. So, and I told him back then, Mr. Minister, you cannot solve any problem in Morocco if you don't solve problem of muqata'a, because that's where paperwork starts. If you don't digitize the source of paperwork, which is muqaddam al-muqata'a, you will never converge at the top with the system. And he believed me. He took me up on it and helped me a lot. So today, it turns out that if we build 10 dirhams per signature, in Morocco, there is 29.5 million signature per year. So it turns out that it's a $30 million project. And we did not start this wanting the money. We started this to solve a problem, and then it looks like the money will come, inshallah. So thank you.